Gwendolyn Valiente, how are you?
I'm very good, thank you.
Good. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what you currently do in life?
Well, currently, of course, we're in the middle of a pandemic, so kind of in a holding pattern. But when we're not in a pandemic, I do luxury wine tours in Napa Valley and Sonoma County.
So prior to that, tell us a little bit about your experience raising a family and the many hats that you wore through that whole process.
I tried to create businesses that meant I could be with them as much as possible. So most of my career, I worked from home. My garage became a studio. I had a guest bedroom downstairs with a bathroom that became the office. And there were times when we went to pick up equipment in Oakland or San Francisco. I had a big van and the kids had a play area in the van.
I was one of four, and my mom homeschooled us, and she made our clothes and made our food, and that was like my life, was my family. She did kind of hang out with a couple of other families that were homeschooled as well, but it was really just, my mom was my everything, like really my everything.
I love books from the time I could read, and I started reading at a very young age. And the more I knew, the more I wanted out of life, the more possibilities I saw in life, and I wanted my kids to have it all.
She actually started to do like crafts and side jobs. I remember going to one of her fairs, and she would make baby doll beds, and then she would make these beautiful straw hats and put lace over them, and you know where your head would be, it would be potpourri. And so she was always like kind of inventing things and doing things like that. And so I remember being there, I was like, oh wow. And it's like, I don't even know how she found out about those things. Like, I have no idea. Like, she was home with us. Like, who would have told her about that? I have no idea.
It was, every business I've ever started, I've started it with nothing.
So I still remember the day, because she started all in her garage. And then she turned one of the bedrooms in our house, and it was a big house, 2 stories. And she had the downstairs bedroom that was her office. And what she did is she put this beautiful like folding wall up again, so you could not see the mess and the kids and the kitchen and the family room. And the house had everything was beautiful. My mom is the style tastemaker. Everything was gorgeous. And so when you walk in, you have this, 100-year-old piano and this beautiful entryway, and then this comes through here, and that's her office, and then the rest was like kind of a mess. But like no one knew about that, so she would bring clients into here, and I still remember being a little kid being like, shh, the clients are here,
So my first business was doing wedding flowers.
But she did it so well, and she was like on the news, and she was in these big, huge fairs, huge things, I know now what they were. They were like bridal bazaars and stuff.
As a mother and an entrepreneur and juggling all these hats, I mean, the impression I got from your daughter is you still were all mother, you were all in.
And actually recently I apologized to her because there was a time when she would call me a lot, and I was really in the middle of building my business, and I would be frustrated, which had nothing to do with her. She didn't put any pressure on me to pick up the phone. But I remember being like, oh, she's calling again. And I apologized to her recently. I was like, I'm sorry that I ever made you feel uncomfortable calling me. I am very sorry. I have friends that have lost their moms recently, and like any mother-daughter, we've had our issues, but I felt really bad about that.
Well, if there was, and I know you probably told your daughter everything under the sun, but if there's one thing that you haven't said, let's say you were going to Mars tomorrow, and I have to leave my daughter a message, what would you say?
I told her this when she was little. I want to be her when I grow up.
I still remember calling my mom and talking to her about how to do my own thing. So even though it was all subconscious, the whole time I knew she did her own thing. And she was the only person, and again, I think it's later in life when I realized she was the only person I'd ever known who did their own thing. She just made her life, made her career.